Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to talk about flex slots in the Dimir Bounce deck in Standard. So you can decide on what cards to play, and you can make your very own build of Dimir Bounce. So let's jump into it. So this is the Dimir Bounce Standard deck. These are the non-flex slots. So these 56 cards in the main deck and these 9 cards on the sideboard, you're pretty much bought into playing. Now, if you want to pause the video and take a look at this, please do. We're going to focus on the flex slots. So what 4 cards are you playing in the main deck and what 6 cards are you going to be playing in the sideboard to fill out this deck? So these are your options. You have 6 options for the main deck, really, and you have 11 options in the sideboard. So you could play to cut down, to beat these aggressive decks. Destroy a card creature with total power or toughness 5 or less. Really good against aggressive decks. Really good against the Dimir and Esper decks and stuff like that. You can play the 4th Hopeless Nightmare. When it enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. And that's really the line of text that we care about because we are going to keep bouncing it to our hand. It's very good against decks that are going to go a little long with us. It allows us to sort of burn our opponent out while really attacking their hand. We could play Go for the Throat. Just unconditional removal against a lot of different things. And we could play Enduring Innocence 3 and 4. It's very good for the mid game when we've established a board presence with our creatures. It's a 4/3 with flash. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And when it dies, it comes back as an enchantment. This allows you to draw a ton of cards if you've already established a board presence and really just leave your opponent in the dust. Not very good if you're already behind, though, so that's important to mention. So you're going to select 4 of these 6 cards to add to your main deck. And then we're going to look at the sideboard. You're going to be selecting 6 of these 11 cards for the sideboard. You could be playing 1 Get Out, which is counter target creature enchantment spell, or return 1 or 2 target creatures and enchantments you own to your hand. Both sides of this are very good. We would be siding this in for the counter target creature enchantment spell, really good against creature decks, especially big creature decks like the Domain deck, which also happens to be really good against the enchantment side as well. But if we end up not having a target for it, using the second mode is really good because we're a self-bounce deck anyway. You can play the second Duress for decks with a lot of non-creature spells. You can play a Witch's Vanity, which is also really good against these like aggressive decks and bounce decks and things like that, where its first level is destroy target creature an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less. And that's the big one we actually care about because it's only 2 mana and then we can keep bouncing it so we can have another removal on a stick similar to Nowhere to Run. We can play up to 3 Preacher of the Schism to lean into a little bit more this mid-range plan. Sometimes the self-bounce stuff is a little too cute against some decks, and we just have to bring out a lot of cards. And bringing in Preacher of the Schism is just a really, really solid card. It blocks really well. It's a 2/4 Death Touch. When it attacks, the player with the most life or tied for the most life, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. And when it attacks, when you have the most life or tied for the most life, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So it's just a really solid mid-range card, decent against the aggressive decks and stuff like that. I don't know why the number's not there. I apologize for that again, but you could play up to 2 Malicious Eclipse. It's a 3 mana sorcery. All creatures get -2/-2 till end of turn. If a creature an opponent control would die this turn, exile instead. Very good against the aggressive decks, especially like Convoke. You can play a second Shieldred. Punish people for drawing cards. Also really, really good blocker, being a 4/5 with Death Touch. And again, very good against aggressive decks or really any deck that doesn't have a ton of removal. And is just a solid mid-range card similar to Preacher of the Schism. You can play the 3rd Gix's Command. Let me double check that. Yeah, no, the 2nd. You have the 2nd Gix's Command in the sideboard. This again is for aggressive decks in its totality. You're going to be looking to destroy opponent's creatures and give a big creature of yours lifelink and just like pull way, 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 way ahead. And then you can play Ghost Vacuum for Graveyard Hate. It's a 1 mana artifact. Tap to exile target card from a graveyard. You can pay 6 mana and tap it to put each creature card exile with Ghost Vacuum onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types, and you can activate that only as a sorcery. Just really awesome Graveyard Hate with a little bit of upside and only 1 mana. So you're going to be selecting 6 of these 11 cards on the sideboard. You're going to be selecting 4 of these 6 cards for the main deck to add to your non-flex slots. And then you have your very own butt stock version of Dimir Bounce in Standard. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.